Paula, finances and relationships, such a tricky one. Let's start first by talking about how finances can affect your relationships, whether it's your romantic relationship, whether it's a relationship with family, friends, or colleagues.
Yeah, so it's a good one, that, because when it comes to couples, finances is one of the top 5 things that couples argue about. But it also does play up in family conversations and even with friendships as well, and sometimes even in the workplace. So money is a key contributor when it comes to conflict.
So, let's just do some examples, I suppose, in your experience as a relationship coach, illustrating where finances have actually become a problem and how they've actually destroyed relationships.
Yeah. So let's use a couple as an example, right? It goes back to, first of all, money value systems, right? Because we grow up with different systems that we're exposed to, different life experiences, and that's where our money values come in. So often what we find is one person may be seen as a spender or very carefree with money, and the other person may be seen as the stingy one or the saver and squirreling money away for a rainy day, right? And that's probably because they grew up with feedback and messages such as money doesn't grow on trees, save money for a rainy day, those kind of things. And so those messages we internalize, and that becomes our money value system. And then it plays out in our lifetime, in our relationships and from a career point of view as well. And so that can cause a lot of conflict with a couple, because when it comes to things like the monthly budget and spending and making big purchases like
holidays,
houses,
yes, parties, things you're going to do together.
Yeah, parties, houses, cars, gifts, Christmas time, those kind of things, then that's how the fight started, right? Because you start talking about money and then it starts spiraling out of control, because we have different points of view and different emotions attached to money and different value systems with money.
And I mean, it's not just the sort of occasional things. We're talking day-to-day stuff. If you're a couple, if you're cohabiting, if you've got children and you're living together, you're in the same house, even it can bring about a lot of resentment when you start to do the math and go, okay, but I pay for this and you pay for that, but it's not quite equal, and I'm buying this and the groceries cost this and I pay the helper. That can really take away the love in a relationship.
Definitely, and that's when couples start keeping score, is when things start becoming quite toxic, right? And you go down that spiral, that negative spiral, and every argument then becomes about money because you're keeping score. And this is where, couples should have these discussions very early on in their relationship around understanding what are your different views and perspectives on money. How do you go about looking at money and saving money and spending money? And, what is your level of risk when it comes to money? So
what are the boundaries? I mean, we are going to get into relationships that involve money with a lot of people. Like we said, it's not just your partner or, it's going to be relatives. It's going to be you supporting, giving your parents some money, so supporting them, for example, different relationships. You lend money to friends. What are the boundaries or the rules that you need to put in place before you actually fully dive into that relationship when it comes to finances?
So I think, first of all, at an individual level, is understand what is your affordability factor. What can you afford when it comes to disposable income, and how do you want to choose to use that when it comes to helping others? Is it a loan per se, or is it a gift, or is it an expectation that you're going to pay me back at some point? And how clear is that communicated with that person or those people, right? And when it comes to couples and relationships, it's agreeing on those things together so that you know where you both stand with each other when it comes to managing money matters and money when it comes to family and friends. And that you can at least, you're on the same page and you're aligned and you understand where each other stands on this, and that it doesn't then spiral into conflict and confrontation.
And I'm just thinking, on the other hand, it's not just about spending, it's about the earning that can come between you as well. Who earns the most and who's earning better than the other one, and what you can afford, and how that dictates your lifestyle, not only with couples, again with friends. You and I go out for a coffee. You want to go to a 7-star high tea place. I can afford to go to, I don't know, the local donut joint and just have or the drive-through, that kind of thing. Those kinds of things also put pressure and dictate the dynamics of relationships, friendships, whether whoever it's with.
Definitely. And this is where, you need to look at your own financial means, first of all, and what can you afford realistically, and are you living within your means or above your means? And then what is the risk of that? What is that costing you when it comes to debt and debt management, right? Because that can put a lot of strain, first of all, on you as an individual and impact your mental well-being, but it can also affect the people around you, your relationships. So I have a friend who is very meticulous, that whenever we go out somewhere, we pay Dutch, and that way there's no remembering who paid for what, and last time you paid this and this time it's my turn, and get lost in that.
But you also tick, I had this, I had this, I have. I mean, there are people like that, you know, they pay only for what they've had. Like you and I will just split it down the middle and it's fine.
Yeah, and you know, and that's okay. It's what works for you, right? So some people are like that. They will sit and tick off every penny and go, this is what I ate, or this is what it's my cost and my portion is, and that's what I'm prepared to pay. And that's okay. Some people will be more generous and go, you know what, we had fun, it was great, and you know what, let's just split the bill and we're okay with it. And so that's what you need to then sort of, what do you feel comfortable with? And especially when it comes with couples and the earning income, right? If one is earning 100,000 Rand and one is earning 50,000 Rand a month, it's unrealistic to expect each other to pay 50-50 on everything. Because what's going to end up happening is the person that earns 50,000 Rand a month is never going to have any money, because all their money is going to be spent on their 50%, right? And then this person who's got the disposable extra is going to end up paying for everything when you go out, and eventually that's going to cause or can cause resentment, because I'm like, I'm always paying for everything. But at the end of the day, you have more disposable income. So you've got to look at it relative and realistic, like what is fair based on your earnings and how much you can afford to contribute.
And I suppose, be honest, I'm somebody, I mean, I get very embarrassed when you talk about money. I mean, even salary negotiations, you know, for me, it's an awkward conversation, but I think we have to get comfortable with talking about the finances.
And a lot of that is legacy stuff, right? We grew up, we were raised where you didn't speak about money, and you didn't tell people what you earned. It was a big secret. You didn't discuss these things. Whereas I think in today's world, people are much more open about it and discussing finances and how to, whether it's negotiate a salary increase or whether it's around negotiating a good deal on a car or a house purchase. You have to learn how to have those difficult conversations and empower yourself with financial knowledge, because of the world we live in today where so many people are in debt.
Let's talk financial abuse very quickly. I mean, when do we know that a relationship is in danger because of financial abuse? What are the signs that one partner or one person in whatever this relationship is actually now taking advantage and the other one is being taken advantage of?
So traditionally how we see it is where one person is the breadwinner and the other person is the stay-at-home, either mom or dad, or it's a person in the household, a sibling, that is providing for the family or is the income provider. And what happens is that person tends to control the purse strings of the person who is the stay-at-home person. So either they get given an allowance or a salary that they then have to take care of the costs. For example, they have to buy all the groceries, all the toiletries and everything, and they have to account for every cent. And if you start getting into trouble because you cannot account for where or how you spent the money, that is red flags already around
when it becomes a means of control. Yes, I was just going to say.
Absolutely. So when you start feeling like you're being controlled and having to account for every cent that you've spent, or when you don't have a say in where or how you can spend your money. So in some instances we see, and predominantly it is women, but it does happen in the other reverse as well. So a woman will come home and her salary gets moved into the man's account or her partner's account, and that partner then dictates where and how the money is spent. So they have no control over their own money.
Does that really happen?
It does.
In 2025?
It does happen, believe it or not.
Okay. And very quickly, to wrap up for us, Paula, top tips on how to manage financial relationships.
So I think, first of all, notice how you feel about the conversations or about these people when money is involved. Is it starting to give you a lot of anxiety? Are you feeling on eggshells and anxious about it, or nervous about it, or awkward and uncomfortable? That's red flags that, you know, there's something going on here for you and that you need to work through it. So sit down and have those courageous conversations and unpack it, right? And if you can't do it in an amicable way, then find a professional that can help you and mediate and have those discussions, whether it's a therapist or whether it's a financial advisor that can help you make better financial decisions.
And right at the beginning, I think it's important then set down the rules and the boundaries and the terms of this arrangement, or whatever it is.
Absolutely.
Finances and relationships, very tricky indeed.